this one is. No, it's not. Alright. It's a 1908 book claiming to be the essence of the teachings of Hermes Trismegistus, published anonymously by a group or person under the pseudonym of the Three Initiates. Yeah, I read this a while ago. It was very interesting, to say the least. Very fascinating. So the Kybalion here has a version of the French cover. The book early on makes the claim that makes its appearance in one's life when the time is appropriate, and includes variations of material found in the Book of Proverbs. Includes Book of Proverbs. I wonder who wrote this and who knows that these things are verifiably true. It comes from the Yogi Publication Society. It's just questionable. I read this and I didn't know all these supposed background facts when I read it, so I don't know if it would affect the way I take something, but I would want to have like the factual basis for whatever I'm studying. You know, that's just my way of studying. That is civilological. I founded Civilology for your benefit, to be able to do things that way, because it is a comprehensive system. The 7 principles are the chapters in the book of Kybalion. The principle of mentalism embodies the idea that all is mind. Principle of correspondence, the idea that there's always a correspondence between the laws of phenomena and planes of being and life, as above so below. Harmony, agreement, correspondence, the great physical, the great mental, and the great spiritual. Okay. Well, maybe I read this and it totally influenced my life or something. The principle of vibration. Motion is manifested. Yeah. So, polarity. So it's like I'm actually, whatever I do is rewriting this stuff. Just repeating the same fundamental principles. Principle of polarity. Principle of rhythm. Principle of cause and effect. Principle of gender. Mental gender is described as a Hermetic concept, see up there at the top, which relates to the masculine and feminine. It does not refer to the physical gender of someone. Ideally, one wants to have a balanced mental gender, even if you are, like me, a man in body, typical average human male, and then you could be the opposite, which is like my woman is a human female, and these are the two genders, but ideally both of us want to have a balanced mental gender within ourselves, our individual mind, the individualized mind. Like, okay, so let's talk about this. Oh, actually, we'll get back to this. Hold that thought. Now we're going to go to, let's finish with this authorship here, because this is interesting. The three initiates who authored the Kybalion chose to remain anonymous. Speculation is because of this. There's been speculation about who wrote it. Maybe they'll always be anonymous. Maybe you'll never know who they are. If they were hiding, it's like saying who actually wrote the books by Shakespeare. You know, he just made up that name and put it on there. That's like me. I mean, I do it all the time. Later on in history, and by the way, Shakespeare was not popular after he died. He was. People really didn't think about him or remember him in the first 100 years for a long time. So there was a period he lived his life, he died, and then nobody was thinking about Shakespeare. It wasn't common knowledge. He wasn't famous. True fact. The same can be said about many people, including someone like Karl Marx. He actually died before any of his principles were made into these government national experiments. Marx, it happened quicker though. Shakespeare had to wait a lot longer, but with Marx, it was so lots of people. I mean, Van Gogh is a typical example. He went out with this big bang. However, during his life, people were not. And wasn't he friends with Gauguin and some of the other artists? So, and he had a brother, Vincent, Theo. So Vincent the artist was, not getting any credit that he deserves, supposedly. There's much greater credit later on, and even when his paintings, I mean, that's the proof. That's where it really starts, is that he's got paintings, and his people want to get their hands on his paintings, and all of a sudden, it's like the hugest price on the auction block. Millions. I know that when I was younger and they had a sale price for the sunflowers, he did a series of those, I think. Definitely, there was different angles that he did, but one of them, what people thought was the best one, the most expensive one, was the news, the sunflowers. I'm sure it's conjuring the image to your mind if you're at all cultured or study Kybalion. It's like the Mona Lisa. And let's go back to these artists here, these authors here. People are saying that maybe it was written by William Walker Atkinson. And then with these people, Atkinson was known to use many pseudonyms and to self-publish. So he's an interesting guy. We have to look him up. Nonetheless, even if he didn't write the Kybalion, it makes you wonder, what else do they say he wrote? What did he acknowledge were his pseudonyms? So what they're doing is telling you, not right here, historically, William Walker Atkinson nowhere accepts the authorship or reveals or admits to the authorship of the Kybalion. So his pseudonym of that, Three Initiates, is not connected. He doesn't himself connect with it. That's what they're trying to say, and I hope that's the fact. Because what they are saying is that he has other works under different names, and they're not saying what that is. Come on, Wikipedia, you've got to add that. Also suggestive is the fact that among his earliest published pseudonymous works of his series entitled The Arcane Teachings. Okay, so this paragraph does get into that. Why don't they just say that it was written by someone who hung out with Nicholas Roerich? Then there's these other people. Oh, so Herbert Spencer is referred to because they say he understands the Hermetic principles. And it says Spencer himself is eulogized as a reincarnation of the 5th century Greek philosopher Heraclitus or Hermes, who in turn is described as being a reincarnation of a still more ancient Egyptian philosopher. So there's no other writers that they talk about in the Kybalion this way, although other people must be mentioned. And Herbert Spencer, Herbert Spencer is somebody that they outwardly talk about. Yeah. Doreen Virtue wrote a book called Divine Magic, a new interpretation of the classic Hermetic manual, a modern version. One can learn to master one's moods, manifest higher levels of abundance. Doreen Virtue. Then there's the derivative work of management, which is an esoteric organization by the name of Summum, antiquated and incomplete. Rewrote the text to incorporate a grand principle. An esoteric group, Summum, did this, describes this as a foundation element in the existence of the all. And this is where the 7 principles come from, is a grand principle. And it's their principle of creation. Alright, I didn't know. Oh, and they put emerald tablets from Hermes Trismegistus. Notes. So they're quoting directly from the Kybalion. Alright, so what do I have to say about it? Is going on with this. Hermeticism is a very big part of Kyyboa, and I am the founder and the father of Kyyboa. So therefore, people wanted to know and always heard about the word, and now they have this actual source, a previous source, a proto-typical origin for Kyyboa, one of, and I'm telling you, there's multiple levels of connections, but this is the one that I'm bringing out right now, and it's Hermeticism. A lot of that is involved, and the practice of that within our being and our way of life, and the way the goodness and the strength and the wisdom, just the being and the creation itself of the tribe has come from this. Amen.